If you're running Performance Max campaigns for your e-commerce store, there is a report hiding inside Google Ads that most advertisers either don't know exists or have no idea how to read. It's called the Channel Performance Report, and it tells you something that the main campaign view never will. Exactly where Google is spending your money across every channel in the network, and what return on ad spend each channel is getting. So shopping, search, YouTube, display, Gmail, maps, it's all broken down in there. In this video, I'm going to walk you through this report live inside a real account. I'll show you how to find it, how to read it correctly, which columns actually matter and which ones to ignore, and I'll show you how to use what you see to make smarter decisions in your campaigns. Plus, I'll share what a healthy spend distribution actually looks like in a well-optimized e-commerce PMax campaign, so you know whether what you're seeing is normal or a red flag. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Daryl. I've been running a Google Ads agency called Big Flare for over 12 years now, and in that time, I've helped 6, 7, and 8-figure e-commerce brands to scale profitably through Google Ads, generating more than $150 million in revenue along the way. All right, let's hop over to Google Ads and we'll walk through this report together. All right, guys, so to find the channel performance report, the first thing you're going to want to do is click into a PMax campaign. I recommend you just pick whichever PMax campaign is spending the most for you. That's usually going to be where the highest leverage can be found. Click into the campaign and then come over here to Insights and Reports. And if you scroll down, you're going to find this right here, Channel Performance. That's the report we need to look at. All right, so here we are on the Channel Performance Report. Scroll down a bit, make sure you've got a good date range set up here. It's not going to be very statistically significant data if you're only looking at a couple of days. So I've gone loads of data here, past 200 days, okay? So in that time, we can see this particular account spent 58K on this campaign and got a 911% ROAS and a 530K revenue. So this is where you're going to see your top level results, but not a lot of useful information in there. You can just see that at the campaign level. And then when you scroll down, you are going to see this fancy looking but utterly useful flowchart thing. Like it will show you like a bit of detail on how much money was Discover spending. But what I really don't like about this report is the fact that you don't see cost per acquisition. You don't see return on ad spend. You just don't see the metrics that actually matter to e-commerce businesses that are profit driven. You can see like Discover drove some actions and some of those actions were purchases, but we have no idea how much. So this report up here is useless. Skip past it. Skip to the bottom, then we get to the good stuff. Here you go. This is the good stuff. This is what you should be looking at when you're in your channel performance report. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got Discover, Gmail, we've got the different channels here. Now, before this report becomes fully useful, we do need to customize the column setup, and I normally just recommend getting rid of these columns here, results, results value, and reports. These are useless. So open up your columns and come down here and let's get rid of results, results value, reports. Then what you can do is just click here into the conversions section and add the all-important ROAS and CPA columns. That is what actually makes this report useful. Okay, click apply, and now we can see our actual ROAS per channel. We can see the cost per acquisition per channel. We can see the spend amount per channel, and each channel. So we've got Discover, we've got Gmail, we've got Google Display Network, we've got Google Search, we've got Maps, we've got Search Partners, and we've got YouTube. And then underneath that, you'll notice there are 2 rows, and the rows are ads using product data and ads not using product data. So the first thing you need to understand here is what that means. Ads using product data means those ads are derived from your product feed that's sitting in Google Merchant Center. And pretty much every channel has some sort of way of generating ads from your product feed. Now, the classic type of ads to generate from your product feed is shopping ads, and shopping ads is this row here. So there's actually no separate row for Google search text ads and Google shopping ads. Google just kind of lumps them together in Google search, which can be a bit confusing for some people. So you need to look into the sub rows under Google search. Ads using product data, that's shopping. That is your shopping ads. That's the most important row in this whole report. It's the most important part of your PMax campaign. most e-commerce stores out there are basically using PMax as a type of shopping campaign. So you really want to see, when you're looking at this report, evaluating the data, trying to figure out what to do next, the first thing you want to check for is to make sure that Google search ads using product data, i.e. shopping ads, is the lion's share of the overall spend, right? Normally, shopping ads should be about 70, 75, 80, 65, something around those percentages of the campaign should be shopping ads. Like, so maybe around 70%, give or take a little bit. That's the amount of spend you expect to have in shopping ads. If you see something wildly different, like only 5% of spend in shopping ads, then you know you've got a problem, okay? So first of all, make sure you don't have that problem. Make sure shopping ads is the bulk of your spend, and it's normally going to have a good ROAS, and it's normally going to have a good amount of conversions, and it's going to be doing the most activity in this campaign, to be honest. And then what you can then do is just look at how the other channels are performing. Now, if you want to know how your spend should normally be distributed into a typical Performance Max campaign for e-commerce, I got you covered. It normally looks something like this. So this is a report that I run for all my clients. You don't need to worry about the details of this report. The main thing I wanted to show you here is this pie chart that shows for our PMax campaign in this example client account, but this is pretty close to what you normally see. This shows you the distribution of spend in each channel, and this is typically what you want to see. You want to see here, this is shopping. You want to see about this much of your budget is being spent on shopping, so you can see that's a bit more than 75%. And then normally you're going to see a little slice like that, like video is going to be maybe like 3 to 5%. And then this is images here, and that's normally going to be like 10%. Actually, images is normally a smaller share of your spend compared to this. Normally, I would say search is maybe a bit more, like maybe search is 10 to 15%, something like that. So if we just imagine that that bit there was search, and then this gray bit here is display. This here is a pretty typical spend distribution for PMax. If you want to see something like this, most of it is on shopping, the light blue one, a little bit on video, the orange one, a little bit on display, the gray one, and then a bit more on search. And if you see that, you've got a healthy PMax campaign, you've got nothing to worry about from a spend distribution perspective. If you see something else like 50% on video or 100% on display, then you might have something wrong with your PMax campaign. You should definitely check that. Hey guys, before we move on, I want to mention something that might be useful for you. If you've watched this walkthrough so far and you are looking at your own channel performance report thinking, something doesn't look right in here, but I have no idea how to fix it. Well, my agency Big Flare can actually do all of this stuff for you. We run Google Ads for e-commerce stores, and this is literally what we do every single day. We will build your campaigns, optimize them, monitor reports like this one, and make the right decisions so that you don't have to. Now, if you want to find out whether we would be a good fit for your store, you can book a free strategy session with me personally. There's no obligation, no hard sell. We'll just look at your account together, and I'll tell you honestly what I think. The link is in the description below. All right, let's get back to the meat and potatoes of today's video. Okay guys, now we understand how to get to this report, what to ignore, and how to set it up and start interpreting the data. Now let me just walk you through a few common scenarios and decisions that you might make once you know how to look at this data. So you're going to be wanting to look at each row of this data and then seeing how much did I spend on that and what was my ROAS. And you're going to see, hopefully, that shopping is most of it, and you definitely want to be doing shopping in your Performance Max campaign. But then there's this question of, what do you want to do about all the other channels? What do you want to do about Display Network, about Gmail, about Discover, about Maps, about search text ads instead of search shopping ads? And what do you want to do about YouTube? Answering that question is why we come to the channel performance report, okay? So when you're looking at this data, you want to check the spend on the channels. You want to check for any channels other than shopping that are getting high spend. Like this one here, Gmail. Okay, that's getting 3K spends. That's somewhat significant. And if it's getting a high level of spend, then I want to make sure that the ROAS is good. And yeah, the ROAS is actually good there. So if I saw something like that, like there's a channel like Gmail or maybe YouTube or maybe Discover, something is spending okay and it's got a good ROAS, I might decide that I want to spin off a dedicated campaign type for that. Because maybe if I dedicated more budget to Gmail, maybe if I dedicated 10K budget to Gmail, I might still be able to get that 10x ROAS, and now I'm putting more into that channel that's performing, right? Performance Max, you don't have that level of control. You just kind of let it do all of this stuff on its own, and that does sometimes mean that these other channels that can work for you get a bit underdeveloped. So one common thing you can do with this data is, if you see something in here, an individual channel, and you want to put more budget in there, or you want to work on improving its ROAS, maybe Gmail is getting a decent spend, but the ROAS is really low and I don't like it, but I think I can improve that ROAS if I optimize my creative and my targeting. The way to do that is to spin off a dedicated campaign type. And let's look at your options here. Okay, so Performance Max, here's your Performance Max all channels, all assets campaign, and you've got two options of campaign types that you can spin off: search text ads or demand gen. So if you see Google search ads not using product data, and you see this row and you want to affect this row, you want to work on improving the ROAS, like maybe I'm not happy with a 9x ROAS in my search text ads, maybe I want to aim for like 11x or 12x. Well, to do that, I need to set up a dedicated campaign type where I can actually optimize this stuff instead of letting PMax do it automatically for me. And the type of campaign that I would need to spin off is a search campaign, right? So that is one option. If you see that you want to manually optimize or set the budget for this row here, search ads not using product data. For all the other things that are not Google shopping, you would use demand gen, right? So if you want to work on Gmail, you want to dedicate more budget to Gmail, or let's say Google Display Network, the ROAS is a bit low, I think I can get it higher if I optimize my targeting, I want to set up a dedicated campaign for it. Demand gen. Demand gen is the campaign type for Discover, for Gmail, for Google Display Network, for YouTube, not for search partners, that's within the search campaign. So you've got two options. If you're spinning campaigns out of Performance Max, you're either going to choose search text ads or demand gen. Here is where your ads can show on demand gen. So they can show on YouTube, on any of the placements in YouTube, on Discover, on Gmail. So again, if you're seeing any of those rows in here that you want to dedicate more budget to or work on improving the ROAS of, you would use demand gen. And demand gen, the good thing about demand gen is that you can specify specific channels. Performance Max, you can't say, you know, I want Google search and I want Google Display Network, but I don't want YouTube and I don't want Gmail, but I do want Discover. You can't say that. There's no control to do that in Performance Max. Demand gen, however, you can absolutely make that choice. And by the way, there's actually a missing thing here on this diagram. It should also say Google Display Network as well. Demand gen can show ads in Google Display Network. So then demand gen can be a Gmail campaign. You can turn off all the other stuff if you want to. You can turn off all that stuff and make demand gen focus on Gmail, or you can make it focus on Discover, or you can make it focus on YouTube, or you could do Discover and Display Network. So demand gen is where you can set up a dedicated campaign for any of those other campaign types. That's what you're going to use if one of those other campaign types is something that you want to improve in your PMax campaign. Now, the other option is, let's say you come into the channel performance report, and this is something that happens with somewhat regularity as well. Let's say you come into this report and you see that shopping ads is the only thing that's performing, like Google search ads using product data, that's the only thing that's got a good ROAS and a good spend level, and everything else is trash. Like maybe Display Network has spent 2K but is getting a horrible ROAS, and like maybe Gmail hasn't spent that much but also hasn't converted at all, and Google's continuing to spend on Gmail. This can happen, right? Like you can sometimes see PMax campaigns where shopping is really the only thing that's performing and all the other channels are just trash. And if you see that happening, then the decision is, okay, well, I might need to go feed-only PMax. So feed-only PMax is this. Feed-only PMax. Okay, so originally you've got a all assets PMax, and that means you've added images and headlines and videos to your PMax campaign. And then that means PMax is going to be showing ads across all these placements: YouTube, display, Google search text ads, Google search shopping ads, Gmail, Maps, should be showing Discover on here as well, but you get the picture. And then if all those other channels, like let's say, you know, this one and this one and this one, if they're all just rubbish and Google search shopping ads is the only thing that's performing, you go feed only, and then what that does is it just gets rid of all these other channels and it makes PMax focus just on the shopping ads. This is Google search shopping ads. And the way you do that is you just take off all the assets that you have in PMax. What do I mean by that? I mean the images, the videos, and the headlines and the descriptions that you added in the assets section of your asset group in Performance Max. You want to delete all of those. So there's no more images, headlines, descriptions, no more videos. And then you want to go into your campaign settings and you want to turn off auto asset generation. Now I have got a video specifically about PMax feed only. I'll link it in the description below this video if you want to check that out to get more details on the approach. But that would be the approach if shopping ads is the only thing that's performing in your PMax campaign. If you made it this far, thank you. I hope this was genuinely useful. Now, the channel performance report is just one piece of the PMax puzzle. It shows you where your money is going, but it doesn't tell you how your campaigns should be structured in the first place. So if you want to understand the full picture, including the 4 types of PMax campaigns that are actually generating the most revenue for e-commerce stores right now, then check out my video called The 4 Performance Max Campaigns That Print Money for E-commerce. Here's a link to that video right up here. Good luck with your campaigns, guys. I'll see you in the next one.